Are you struggling for consistency in your sim racing? Does your iRating look like a roller coaster? If so, we have good news for you. The way to get more consistent is to first understand what you're doing differently than the professionals. And VRS is the answer. With our competitive subscription, you will have the telemetry, setups, tutorials, and everything else you need to fully analyze your driving. Our data packs and the ability to compare your driving with the best in the world will show you exactly where to adjust your inputs, change your driving line, and shave seconds off of your lap times. And our powerful and precise Direct Force Pro wheelbase and precision pedals are being used by some of the world's best drivers. All these champions agree that VRS hardware is not just the best on the market, it's also priced well below the competition. So if you're looking to upgrade to direct drive and the best pedals in sim racing, VRS is your answer. If you want to get better, get faster, and make it happen sooner rather than later, you owe it to yourself to find out why so many people are switching to VRS. You'll be so glad that you did. Visit www.virtualracingschool.com and learn why the best use VRS.
Hi there, and good evening, everybody. So, 3 weeks ago, our racers found themselves at Spa-Francorchamps, and while considered an old-school race course, it has by necessity changed greatly over the years. When it first opened, it was known primarily as a speed course with higher-than-average speeds than other facilities of the day. And so it continued until 1970, when safety became a focus for race organizers. Well, tonight, we head back to the States and the Finger Lakes region in New York, and although a relative youngster compared to its Belgian brethren, having hosted its first race all the way back in only 1961, Watkins Glen International is a circuit that is also built for speed, with precious few changes in the intervening years meant to slow competitors and keep them from careening into the baby blue Armco. So as we bring you rounds 3 and 4, the Extreme Motorsports Ricmotech Classic Sprint Series tonight, presented by Performa Texas Elite Graphics, we shall see how many of our MX-5 racers bring home the Empire States version of the Darlington Stripe. I'm Greg Ginsburg, and with Larry Lefty McLeod joining me in the commentary booth for two 30-minute sprint races, and of course also joined by Dennis Branch and Jonathan Grabowski in the virtual production truck, bringing you all the best camera angles and action that Apex Racing TV is known for. It should be, Larry, as always, a very, very exciting broadcast. And I know I missed a lot at Spa 3 weeks ago, but tonight's shorter course and shorter races should really mix things up as we start to get into the heart of this 9-round schedule.
Yeah, I think it will be exciting with a return to the 2-sprint format. And as you say, the return to Watkins Glen International. What an awesome facility this is. It's June in upstate New York. The trees are in bloom. The mosquitoes have taken flight. It really doesn't get any better than this. But I'm excited about it because I'm just looking at the entry list. You and I were commenting about this about maybe 15 minutes ago, that the number of folks and the number of talented folks that we've got to watch tonight, it could be pretty impressive. There's going to be a lot of battles that are going to come right down to the end of both sprints tonight. And you can't be more excited than to see something like that happen.
No, certainly not. And Larry, I think we've actually picked up for this event 5 new racers that were not with us for rounds 1 or 2. 3 new racers in our pro category, 2 more in the AM category. And I'll tell you, as I'm looking at the practice times from earlier, I believe that at least in the AM category, our 2 new drivers were 2 of the 3 fastest drivers on course, which might put some pause in and some fear into the heart of our current points leader in the AM category and our hopefully pre-race interview guest here tonight, and we'll get to that in just a few moments here. But tell you what, before we talk about qualifying, before we talk about lap times, before we talk about new drivers, why don't we talk for a second about Kevin Ford? We're going to actually turn things over to Kevin Ford, as he always does. He will give us tonight's track guide, of course, tonight from beautiful 2.4 mile, 11-turn Watkins Glen International.
Welcome, everyone, to Watkins Glen, located here near beautiful Lake Seneca in New York. Great to have you with us as we provide you your track guide today around this 3.4-mile course, known to many as the Glen. They don't come any more famous than this one when it comes to American road racing. Well, let's begin our track guide as we head up the front straightaway. You'll notice our main grandstands to the left, our pit area to the right, as we cross the stripe and head down into this famous turn 1 here known as the 90. Very difficult corner to get right. As we get down into 3rd gear, we're going to let that car rotate to the bottom and get right back to throttle and let it drift out, clear out to the track out there to get every bit of speed we can to head up through the uphill S's and onto the backstretch here at the Glen. Very fast section through here, and certainly overtaking can be done, but it's a little hair-raising at times. Coming out onto the backstretch, this will be our fastest portion of the course, and you will see overtaking coming into the bus stop here, or what's also known as the inner loop. Keeping it tight to the curbing as we come through that section and then swing out wide to set up our entry into turn 5, the carousel. Back to throttle early. This will bring us down into the boot section. This is known as the chute, turn 6. They refer to it as the boot because from an aerial view it looks like a boot. This will take us down into the toe. Down into 3rd gear, very difficult corner to get right. It's an uphill right-hander. Want to get the throttle as quick as you can. Use that track out as well to pick up that speed up over the crest of the hill here. This will take us down to the heel, turn 8. Another 90, very tight right-hander. Again, let that car rotate to the bottom, come right back to throttle, get a good launch up the hill. As we prepare for turn 9, the re-entry, and off-camber re-entry into the main portion of the course here. Heading towards turn 10, this is going to be a fast one. We'll remain in 4th gear here, keep the throttle pretty much wide open around this turn. And we'll track back left to set up our entry into the final corner here at the Glen. Turn 11. Track out by the wall there and wide open up the front straightaway. There you go. There's your track guide for the beautiful Watkins Glen. Thank you so much for being with us.
And thank you so much to Kevin Ford for tonight's track guide. And Larry, you know, I absolutely I don't adore Kevin Ford, don't get me wrong, but
we all do.
But I just absolutely love the scenery and how beautiful it is when you have a well-driven car around Watkins Glen. You know, I say it every time. I mean, it is a track, you know, that it enhances. I don't say it enhances your speed, but it basically makes you a faster driver. The way you have the cambered corners practically everywhere, and it just kind of like sucks you in and spits you out of corners faster than you expect. And probably the one spot here on track that perhaps you don't have that is, as we're watching right now, Brennan Horan making his way around the outer loop. That little bus stop chicane that was added back in 1992, primarily to slow drivers down going into the outer loop. because there had been a wreck there the year before. I think that's probably the one place, obviously, that does try to slow you down. Every other place around here, every other corner, is there primarily to speed you up.
Yeah, and it really is that kind of a track where if you know where those spots are to speed yourself up, the reward is huge. It's just tremendous. Turn 1, for example, has almost a dip as you turn in if you get it right into turn 1. If you get turn 1 wrong, it just sends you to the outside.
That's
you
right.
Never recover, because especially we're watching these MX-5s. These are 100% momentum cars. These are 180 horsepower ND Miatas. If you get the turn in wrong in a car like this, it's going to cost you for the next mile of wide open throttle all the way down the back straight. So extremely important to hit these turns right. And even going into the bus stop, you mentioned isn't really much for camera gain, but there's a rhythm there. There's a dance, and you're watching Jeff Cranston go through there now. There's an absolute dance to flick the car in without overslowing, because it's kind of a blind entry, and it really is timid on those that haven't really mastered the place, but those that have, huge rewards to throw the car around. And there's tonight some big names that have got a lot of experience in real world as well as in the sim world, and we're watching one of them here, John Allen.
Yeah, that's right. John Allen, who was our previous season champion in the pro category, and right now looking to put in his very first lap time. And you can see that dance as he's coming over the curbs right now. Pretty amazing to watch there. And it's one of those things, Larry. Of course, yes, there's that dance going through the bus stop, otherwise known as the inner loop. But the other part of that is that bus stop is probably the prime and only, I don't want to say only passing area, but it is without a doubt the prime passing location here at Watkins Glen. And there may be a dance while you're driving all alone, but there is also one heck of a dance if you have to go in there 2 wide, and as we've seen in some cases, 3 wide.
2 is treacherous. 3 is someone's not coming out alive.
Close to deadly. Yeah.
It's a dangerous move. If you're the third of those 3 and you don't even have a nose next to the other 2, you may as well just go ahead and back off and live to fight over the day. But if you're 2 wide, it's not much better. It is a funnel at its best going into that bus stop, and we'll probably see a lot of that lap 1 almost certainly. Beyond lap 1, it'll happen probably as we get to the end of the first sprint, as everyone will be fighting either for the top spot or fighting for the transfer spot, which we haven't really talked about yet.
That's right. So very quickly here, as we're just a little bit over 5 minutes, about 1/3 of the way through qualifying, let's take a look here you can see the timing pylon on the left-hand side of your screen, and we have 2 different classes. We've got our pro class and our AM class, or I'm going to call them categories as the night goes on. You will be able to discern between the 2 different classes. The pro category drivers, they will have on the timing pylon the red position numbers to the left of their names, and when we see them on track, they will have red mirrors, they will have red number boards as well, whereas the AM category drivers, they will have the green painted mirrors and green number boards, and of course you will see their position in class on that timing pylon, all in green. And of course, for a moment there, they all disappeared just as I was saying that. Let's take a look here. Currently, your fastest driver on track with 1 flying lap in the books is Mike Dam, driver of the number 93 Orion Racing MX-5. And talk about the dance. Watch as he tosses
that car.
I
had to hold my breath for a second there. I thought he wasn't going to come out of there, and the car just squatted, planted, and off he went, carrying about 100 miles an hour.
That's right. And he was able to get down to the apex in the outer loop there and carry speed into the chute and this boot area here. Currently, Robert Hartley, his teammate in the number 3 machine, second fastest with a lap time of 2:08.85. And as you can see, that's about a half a second off of Dam's times. Travis Schwenke, another Orion Racing teammate, sitting in 3rd currently. However, let's go and reset that, as we now have, jumping up to the top of the leaderboard, one of our new drivers, and this is Timon Bramley, driver of the Birdcage by TB Sim Designs entry, and he has just now jumped up to 2nd place here in the pro category. In the AM category, Steve Daniel, currently your fastest driver on track in the SKKJ Racing number 96 machine. And then we've got Jose Gonzalez in the number 83 machine. Jose, another one of our brand new drivers. He is in the hashtag not a team racing entry. And good to have him on board. And we also have in the AM category Paulo Coimbra joining us as well. And as I mentioned, we've got 2 other drivers in the pro category. Real quick, Larry, as we wait, and hopefully we'll have our pre-race interviewee step into the commentary booth here in just a moment. Let's quickly take a look back, and I guess it's now been almost 3 weeks ago since the Classic Sprint Series last ran, and this was at Spa-Francorchamps, taking the win at Spa in the pro category. Robert Hartley in that Orion Racing entry, margin of victory over Josh Soto, who had taken round 1 at Sebring 17/100ths of a second. Mike Dam, yeah, absolutely. And you were telling me, and unfortunately I had to miss it, but you were telling me how just absolutely amazing it was for a full 60 minutes at Spa. Mike Dam finished 3rd. Travis Schwenke finished in 4th. And if we take a look at the points now after 2 rounds, and those were 2 of our, I believe, 5 60-minute races this season, Robert Hartley is currently your points leader with a single point advantage over Josh Soto in the Soto Racing Operations machine. Mike Dam sitting only 6 points back from there in his Orion Racing entry, and Travis Schwenke also from Orion 13 points back. Chris Thorman 18 points back. So again, only 2 rounds in, and our drivers will get a single drop over the course of the season. We'll start taking that into account after this week. But that is where we stand in the pro category. Let's take a look at the AM category, where Edgar Sancinelli took the win at Spa, and I believe Steve Daniel, who finished 2nd at Spa, was our winner in round 1 at Sebring. Jeff Cranston in the Cranny Customs entry, he comes home in 3rd with Russ Ruddock and Nick Parsono rounding out the top 5. And if we take a look at the point standings, again, after 2 rounds, Edgar Sancinelli, who should be joining us here hopefully very shortly in the number 57 Frieder Sport Racing entry, he is currently your points leader. He's got a 3-point advantage over Steve Daniel. Jeff Cranston in that Cranny Customs entry, who did not have the best finish at Sebring, and it's impacted where he stands in the standings right now. He is 6 points back off from the lead. Russ Ruddock in the Flying Tortoise Motorsports entry, 10 points back and only 1 point back from there. Greg Brockway, also from Frito Sport Racing. So, again, only two rounds in, but very, very close. And, I keep looking back to that opening round at Sebring, Larry, where Steve Daniel had received a 5-second penalty post-race. And Edgar Sancinelli on the very last lap got caught up in some pro racing traffic, and I believe finished 11 seconds off the win. Hence Daniel still came away with the win at the end there with a margin of about 5.5, 6 seconds. But it could have ended up very different if Sancinelli didn't have to go 3 wide through the Sunset Bend on the very last lap. All right, so let's look at and how are we standing here, Larry? As we are now just over 2/3 of the way through qualifying.
We are still waiting to see if Edgar wants to join us for a pre-race interview, but if he doesn't, it's understandable. Instead, we'll take a look at where we have on our current leaderboard of qualifying. On top in the pro, as you mentioned, Mike Dam still sitting on that top in that Orion Racing entry. It's setting a new quickest time, in fact, 2:080. He's flying. And our newcomer there, Timon Bramley. I tell you what, one thing to note about him, he's from Australia, which means it's probably about noon on a Tuesday. So, not sure what he's doing for work, but he's certainly taking a long lunch break, and I'm glad he's able to join us.
I was going to say, if he ends up winning, one of us is going to have to use that, that whole "don't quit your day job" kind of comment.
For sure. But yeah, right on his heels is Bramley. Rob Hartley now, you can see, just turned a 2:08.4 to jump up into that second spot. So right now, Dam and Hartley kind of leading the way there. John Allen had a couple of rough finishes already in the 2 rounds so far. Currently only 5th, so John's got some work to do. Already finished his qualifying. He's got his 4 laps in. He's not going to start any lower than 5th, but he'll probably be the first one to tell you this may be one of those tracks that starting on the front row really isn't necessary. But
Yeah.
with the level of play we have going on here, the level of talent in this field, it's gonna be a dogfight to the end, because you mentioned some newcomers there. We got Ricmotech out there currently in 4th, ahead of the series defending champ there and John Allen. So you got some new guys that are willing to fight here at the front. I think it's just going to make it even more exciting.
Yeah, and you know, I'll tell you, at Coimbra is not exactly, and we've got 2 family members here, one racing in pro, one racing in am. Rui, who's driving the number 30 machine, he has over 1,000 wins in iRacing. 1,000 road race wins, and has a 3,800 I rating. So certainly not.
I think I've raced against him. I do a lot of some of the advanced Miata Cup with these cars. I'm pretty sure I've run against him.
Yeah.
I'm not sure I've ever beaten him, but I think I've run against him.
I think the chances of him having beaten you and hundreds or thousands of others are pretty good. And Paulo, who's running in the AM category, currently out of the top 5. He has over 400 wins to his name. So yeah, hence he's only in the AM category. So real quick, Larry, as things are running down here, time is running down here in qualifying. We mentioned that we do have 2 30-minute races tonight, and I think the one thing that we have not discussed is the format and how we're handling that. And so what we are going to be doing through the course of this first race is, for all of you, you're going to want to keep an eye on the top 7 drivers on track, regardless of class, because what we are going to do for race number 2 is we are going to be inverting the field. And we have Edgar Sancinelli here in the green room here. Real quick, tell you what, Larry, let's bring in Edgar very quickly, currently our leader in the AM category this season in the number 57 Frito Sport entry.
Hey Edgar, how you doing? We got just a couple of seconds here before qualifying starts. Just kind of wanted to get your thoughts on tonight's race going into this 3rd round, coming in as the points leader.
Well, a little nervous now that I see some of the new guys coming into the series. I see some quick guys coming in here, so it's going to be really tricky and interesting, and I'm sure everybody's going to be going for it. So at this point, I just want to be able to finish both races, I think, and try to get whatever points I can.
Yeah, well, it helps coming in as the points leader, and the newbies are going to be fighting for any kind of points, and maybe being a veteran of this series and being a veteran of this double sprint format maybe has its advantages as well. But maybe we'll have more time to talk to you at the end of the race. So I want you to get to grid, and good luck to you. And hopefully we'll talk to you maybe in about an hour.
Sounds good, guys. Thank you.
All right, thanks, Edgar.
All right, there you go. Frito Sport Racing's Edgar Sancinelli, currently your leader in the AM category, and also our round 2 winner at Spa. So Larry, as I was saying, as we get ready to run down the grid, look for those top 7, because we're going to be inverting the field for race number 2. If you finish 7th, you're going to start race number 2 on the pole. So let's go. We'll take a look at our starting grid for tonight's race. Why don't you take the pros? I'll take the AMs.
Sounds good. All right, on the pole tonight from Orion Racing from Canada, Mike Dam on that pole position. His teammate on the outside, also in Orion Racing, Robert Hartley. They blocked out that front row once again. On the second row, it's some of our newcomers. Timon Bramley from Birdcage by TM Designs. He'll be on the inside, lined up with Rui Coimbra from the outside, the hashtag not of team racing. On row 3 on the inside, defending series champ John Allen needs a good finish here. Seamless Racing's his sponsor. On the outside, it's Travis Schwenke, the 3rd of the Orion drivers there on the front 3 rows. On row 4, Otis Adams Jr., also not a team. He's going to be lined up with Tom Rathke from the familiar Granite State Racing. On row 5 on the inside, the first of our D2D racing drivers, Chris Dorman. He'll be lined up alongside Esports Racers' highest qualifying driver, Greg Mack. On row 6, a couple of D2D drivers. On the inside, David Payton from Canada. On the outside, Brennan Horan. And that'll wrap up row 6. On row 7, and the final row looks like of our pro categories, we got Nate Nicholson at Delta Sport on the inside. On the outside, Jordy Fike from Esports Racer.
And I'll tell you, I am very surprised to see Nate Nicholson sitting all the way back in 13th for this race. All right, so let's take a look at the AM category, where your pole sitter is Steve Daniel, driving the number 96 SKKJ Racing entry. Starting right next to him on the outside of row number 8 is going to be Jose Gonzalez, another one of our brand new drivers here in the series. And Jose, I believe, has over 800 road starts in iRacing, so he's no rookie either. Edgar Sancinelli, who we just spoke to, our current points leader from Frito Sport Racing, he's going to start third in AM, with Jeffrey Cranston starting fourth. Starting fifth tonight is going to be Greg Brockway, with Mike Key making up an all Frito Sport Racing. That will be the third row for the AM category. Then we've got newcomer Paulo Coimbra driving the number 65 machine. He's going to start next to Frito Sport Racing's Mike Taylor. Then we've got Russ Ruddick from Flying Tortoise Motorsports and Nick Parsono. They're starting side by side, and I believe that is going to leave us then with John Casey from 046 Racing, Robert Brist, and Patrick Preventis rounding out this 27-car field.
Yeah, it's a one thing to note. We did call them off as the Pro Grid versus the AM Grid. They're, in fact, fully intermixed, and they will start together, unlike a traditional multi-class racing where you might have split starts. These are not split. It's all together. Just happened to work out that all of the pro drivers were just barely able to out-qualify all of the AM drivers. It doesn't always happen that way if you're just catching us here tonight. A lot of times some of those AM drivers will kind of sneak up in there and qualify really high. Tonight, though, it's going to be a tight pack, top to bottom within each class. And I think that always makes for some exciting races. And as you mentioned, Greg, the 7th place finisher will start on the pole for race 2. We're going to keep our eye on that. If you're in 8th, you're going to start the second race in 8th. So big gains if you can make that move at the end of the first.
That's right. So I mean that is the race within the race, certainly, that we are going to be watching here this evening as our drivers make their way through the boot here, coming through that toe of the boot. Yeah, nothing based in Montana here this evening.
It's a tall mountain, but it's not that big.
It's not that big. Yeah, exactly. Just watch out for the bison. And that's, but I mean, that is like many of the corners here. Again, heavily cambered, but very tough, and and is a steep dig uphill for these MX-5s that as is really key for these cars. Regardless of corner, is you have to know how to carry speed to maintain momentum in these vehicles. It really is the key to setting a fast lap and the key to making up positions here as the pace car brings them out of the boot in probably the most difficult corner on the course here, turn 9, decreasing radius, off camber. It's probably other than the bus stop, the only track that doesn't have a deep amount of camber there to kind of guide you into the groove. As our drivers come up to the final corner here on the pace lap, led by our pole sitter, Mike Dam, we are not going to be using iRacing's automated green flag system. We do have a real live starter sitting up in that start stand, and we'll let you know when the green flag flies here as Mike Dam and Robert Hartley come onto the front straight. The field very well gridded up, and the green flag is in the air, and we are underway here from Watkins Glen, 27 cars deep as they make the run down the front straight here, and you can see they're starting to already get in nose to tail with the effects of the draft here as they come into the 90, turn number 1, and Mike Dam takes the inside line, and he's going to have an advantage for the moment here, but I suspect that we're going to still be too wide. There we go, yes.
At the back of the field. I think I'd seen Nate Nicholson part of it. Yep, there he is in the 56. He's tangled up the 29 of Patrick Preventis, just exiting turn 1. They tried to go 3 wide through 1, did not work out as the rest of the field heads down towards the bus stop, and this is an opportunity now for those guys to start on the second row to make a move. Not to be, but they are going to go at least 2, maybe 3 wides in.
Yes, Coimbra tries to come up the inside, and we then have them go in as Timon Bramley takes over second position. Another driver that got caught up in that incident coming out of turn 1, Larry Greg Mack, and he is currently sitting in the pit lane trying to get repairs done as quickly as possible to that car. But as we watch the field head down into the boot for the very first time. We've been following that number 30 car, Rui Coimbra, again with thousands of wins to his name, just a little bit back behind Bramley, but those two brand new drivers to the series here this week. Great to have them here, as Mike Dam, Robert Hartley from Orion Racing, though, early on showing their experience here in the MX-5s and also here at Watkins Glen. But as you can see, Larry, almost once we got that initial wreck out of the way, it is more or less a 26-car train all the way back through the field.
Interestingly, as usually we get a couple of moves here on this opening lap, the top 9 are as qualified right now, all the way from Mike Dam, your pole sitter, currently leader, all the way down to Chris Norman, currently in 9th, before you see any movement. Greg McElroy started the race in 10th. That's where it all starts. But that front 9 just playing easy right now, trying not to lose positions for a lot of them. We did see what looked like maybe some side-by-sides a little while ago with, you mentioned about Rui and John Allen, Travis Schwenke. They seem to have settled things down. And there they are right now, that number 30 of Rui, and right behind the 101 of John Allen. Playing nice, but as they get their first at-speed run through turn 1, things could change.
Yeah, and this is where we will see, I think, Larry, for the first time as these cars get lined up in a row here, going up through the S's, what the power of the draft is. You can already see where Hartley sticks out just a little bit to the left. It's not uncommon to see passes down to the inside and maybe try to drag race somebody right here, break left, and make a run. Of course, that all depends on the car in front. But right now, Hartley and Dam, the two teammates, locking up nose to tail as they come down into the bus stop here on lap number 2.
They're doing what we see a lot of the spec type of classes, especially the Miatas, tend to do, which is up draft all the way down the straightaways. And if you can't get by somebody, your best move is to just push them along and hopefully gap to the ones behind.
All right, Larry, we've got a replay queued up here of that incident on lap number 1 coming out of the 90. Let's take a look exactly what happened here. And you can see Greg Mack just got very, very loose. Looks like he got Nate Nicholson, who came across, and then Preventus, I think, looks like got the raw end of the deal there. At the very last minute, just at the wrong place at the wrong time.
And you had mentioned, as we were reading down the qualifying list, how far down Nate Nicholson was. We know that he's a talented driver, has been in these races up at the top 5 quite a bit. Maybe he didn't get much practice in tonight, and that low qualifying position may have come back to bite him.
Yeah, as they call it in Spec Miata racing, Larry, it's being in working man's country. and it usually does not end well for the guys with
champagne and caviar back there in double-digit grid spots.
No, certainly not. As our field makes their way out of the boot, coming through turn 10 as we get ready to complete our second lap of what will likely be 14 laps. I know it says lap 2 of 100. But I guarantee you we ain't turning 100 laps here at Watkins Glen in 30 minutes. It's probably going to be somewhere around 14, maybe 15 laps as we're on board, or we were on board there for a moment with John Allen in that seamless racing entry with Travis Schwenke and Otis Adams directly behind. As they make their way up. Now, one thing I did notice early on, Larry, and this may end up being a challenge for him, is Rui Coimbra appeared to have some connectivity issues, at least on lap 1. Appears to be fine right now, but we'll have to keep tracking that.
Yep, and it looks like he may be at risk of losing a spot as John Allen's going to get feisty going into the bus stop. Can he make it stick? Are they going to go side by side? He does make the pass. Allen now up to 4th ahead of Coimbra. Allen now trying to make his move. We had said maybe 5th wasn't the worst starting spot. Not the best, but he's made up one spot. That's the first pass of anything at the top 9.
Yeah, and we noticed right behind as well, Travis Schwenke in the number 16 Orion car. He snuck around Otis Adams as well going into the bus stop. So two passes in quick succession there as they are now working lap number 3 here at the Glen.
Yeah, this is going to be this kind of movement, I think, for the next 20 minutes or 25 minutes, where it's going to be just a pass here and there. The question is, what point do folks get desperate? Because it all is that draft game. If you get too desperate and you take yourselves out of draft, you lose the pack out in front. It's real critical that if you do make a pass, that it's clean, like what we watched John Allen do on Rui Coimbra. I think even Coimbra probably said, I'm just going to let John go through and I'll get him the next time around.
That's right. And so Otis Adams in that red number 20 machine, red and black number 20 machine, currently sitting in that transfer spot, sitting in 7th position. Get a little early to be talking about it as we're only about 1/5 of the way.
7 minutes in to be talking about 7th.
Yeah.
We'll talk about 7th when we get to VIR.
That's right.
For those that know, that's a funny joke. Those that don't, yeah.
All
right,
so my very first on-track instructor, by the way.
But he was 7th.
That's right.
All right. So looking at the front, what really is surprising here is that Timon Bramley's not really trying anything yet. We'll see if he now is maybe close enough. He can shot him right there. Perhaps now he'll try to break up the Orion teammates out in front of him. The issue I find at a track like this is you almost have to leave just a half a car width gap going into one, so that you don't catch someone still climbing the hill. And the essence, if you catch them too early in this draft, you have to back out.
You have to back out because there's nowhere for you to go. And now you can see Mike Dam maintaining a defensive position there. And I don't know if that's necessarily to hold Hartley off, but I think it was more to hold Bramley in 3rd off,
I think so,
as he was making the run down the inside there.
But Allen's got to run. He's going to take to the inside around the outer loop to try and get underneath Bramley. They might be side by side by the time they get down here to the left-hander.
Yeah, and as they come into the chute going into turn number 6, Bramley for the moment able to hold things off, but look at this now. Coimbra trying to take advantage of it as well in the number 30 machine, and we are 3 wide going down into turn 7 with John Allen. He's got to nose up, but he's got to carry a lot of speed from that center position, and Coimbra getting held out there to the outside, Larry.
Yeah, great move there for Allen to try and stick his nose through that outer loop and hold that position. Thought for a second perhaps there that one of the guys, either Bramley or one of them, was going to be able to hold him through, but look at Allen now forcing the ones behind him to now go 2x2, and it's going to be, that looks like Bramley.
That is Bramley as Travis Schwenke got into the back. Looks as though he got into the back of Bramley coming through turn 8, and Bramley, the number 8 car, went around. As you can see, he is just now rejoining, but that is I don't think anything that any of these drivers wanted to see. There may have been contact as Schwenke was right on the back bumper as they came through, but that now is going to move Schwenke up to 5th. We're going to have to see if the stewards have anything to say about that. Tom Rathke, who started off in 8th, that moves him up to 6th. Otis Adams, surprise, surprise, still sitting in that transfer spot over in 7th. Chris Thorman 8th, Brennan Horan in 9th.
Yeah, Adams able to avoid any incident there and hang on to that top 7 spot. Kind of good for him, but for Bramley, though, that's some seriously tough luck, having run this race up to this point, sitting in that 3rd spot, now finding himself down in 18th overall in this race, probably about, we'll call it about 10 seconds back from the pack.
Yeah, and hopefully we'll be able to get that queued up, but coming out of the toe of the boot, heading down that little straightaway, heading over towards turn 8 to the heel, we had Coimbra, we had Schwenke, and we had Bramley at one point. We're 3 wide. And Coimbra had lost the position, it looked like, under braking to Bramley, and I think that might have been part of the issue there, is I think Schwenke might have gotten caught out with those 2 drivers battling for position going into the corner.
It's one of those things, in tight pack racing like this, and these aren't, when you're talking about GT cars or LMP cars, everything is fast and the gaps are usually bigger. When you're dealing with these light momentum cars like these MX-5s, the packs are very tight. One little fraction of an inch of a misjudgment when you're going 3 wide, 2 and 3 rows deep could easily lead to some incident. I'm kind of surprised it was really just the one car that ended up suffering the worst fate there.
Agreed. And I think, all right, here we go. We've got the replay here queued up from a lap ago. Let's take a look. We've got live action on the left. We've got the replay on the right. And it looks as though Schwenke kind of helped the number 8 car around.
And you see that a lot. If you watch a lot of this type of spec racing, whether it is spec MX-5s or MX-5 cars, there's a lot of bumping mid-corner that you don't even see sometimes on TV unless they've got a real tight shot. That happens. I'm sure you've seen the same thing where there'll be slight bumps. The issue there, though, and as Travis is in to serve that penalty here.
Yeah, just got assigned a drive-through penalty, which you may have seen on the screen there.
Yeah, but sometimes that works. You can, as past the 8 packs, as everyone's now throttle on, you can tap into the back of somebody, give them a little bump, to get away from that apex and get down the straightaway. Fortunately, there in that turn 8, not quite the same thing. It's just a little bit too of a hairy corner.
Yeah, the cars are loaded up just a little. It's, again, got a lot of camber there, but the cars are loaded up quite a bit as you go just past the apex there. I'll say the other thing is, Larry, we always talk about well, we'll get back to this in a second, as we've got Dam and Hartley now once again side by side coming up to the bus stop, and you can see Schwenke and Allen and Coimbra trying to figure out who wants to take drivers left, who wants to take drivers right, and so Robert Hartley now takes over the lead from his teammate Mike Dam, as we do have a 4-car breakaway here at Watkins Glen. I was going to say that, the other big difference you have, we talk all the time, and the challenges I have, for example, in virtual racing is the loss of all the different inputs that I'm used to in the car. There's the feeling in the butt, obviously, but you've got force feedback in the steering wheel. But in Spec Miata racing, and where you have this very close, tight pack racing, there's one other input or it's actually more of an output that you don't see, is that in this real life racing, the drivers will very commonly lift up that inside arm, give that wave to let the driver behind know that they're going to get on the brakes, to break off the draft, to be prepared so you don't go into the back.
All kinds of hand signals, good ones, not just those other kinds of hand signals, but good hand signals the drivers will use to indicate. I know you've seen them quite a bit. You go work a flagger station at at any one of those races around the country on a weekend, and you're going to see drivers saying, "Hey, stay in line. I'm pulling over. I'm doing something," and they'll be flying, using all sorts of signals. You can't do that here. What you can do is they can actually talk to each other, because typically a lot of these guys are on the same comms channel. And they might be able to work together, and that really helps for teammates like out in front, Dam and Hartley. They're on the same comms channel. I wouldn't be surprised if this whole not a team also may be on their same channels. So those guys definitely are able to work together to use their own, in lieu of hand signals, but use their own communication.
All right, and you just saw posted up on the screen there was the incident from early on with Jeff Cranston, and also in the number 97 car and the number 8 of Timon Bramley, and that has been cited, and I believe a penalty has been given to Bramley, so that's going to throw him a little bit even further back in the pack, as he's now going to have to serve a drive-through penalty as we get back to our 4 leaders here, and now taking over 3rd position, and it looked like a little bunny hop there going through the first 2 sets of curbing there at the bus stop. Moving up to 3rd, getting around John Allen, is Rui Coimbra in the number 30 machine. We've seen that now a couple of times between those 2 there for that 3rd spot. A lot of movement there, with only the 1 pass out in front for the lead there between Hartley and Dam. So I think those guys in 3rd and 4th a little bit more antsy. Yes, definitely, and even as those 2 drivers swap positions, you notice that there was just very little fight in that move. Obviously, in order to keep up the pace, keep up the momentum of those 2 drivers, and they were able to maintain a fairly consistent gap back to the 41 machine there of Tom Rathke, sitting in 5th, who has made up 3 positions since the start. Of course, then right after that, they come down that back straight between the toe and the heel of the boot, and they start making up some of that ground under draft. As it stands, Rathke now sitting about 2 seconds back, maybe a little bit, actually about 1.2 seconds back, sorry. And so maybe right on the very edges of the draft. I'm sure he and the number 20 machine of Otis Adams probably going to work to move up, although frankly, if I'm Otis, who's now moved up in the 6th position, which would set him 2nd if this race were to end right now, I don't know how much more I want to move up. Yeah, I think the ones that are going to get desperate here are going to be Brennan Horn, who's just outside of that top 7. But I want to see if we can take a look at the AM category. There's some separation going on there, as Steve Daniel, Edgar Sancinelli have dropped. We mentioned Jeff Cranston had his unfortunate incident. He's been one of the contenders so far in the first couple rounds. That guy you see on screen right there, that was the 83, Jose Gonzalez, he's 7 seconds ahead of the rest of the field. He's actually at the tail of this front pack, just hanging on to the group there in front of him, of Chris Thorman, Brendan Horn, Jordy Fike, David Payton. And so he's in a comfortable spot right now, sitting in 11th overall in the race, but 1st in the same category. Yeah, and it kind of reminds me of the first 2 seasons, or first couple of seasons, not first 2 seasons, but the last 2 seasons, where we would see Brennan Horn commonly up with the pro category drivers when he was running an AM, and Josh Soto's initial season. Yeah, here we go. Look at this. Larry battle for the lead right now as we've got the 30 machine of Coimbra going around the outside of Mike Dam through turn number 6. And as they come into the toe of the boot, we have a new leader. It is Rui Coimbra. Move our pole sitter, Mike Dam, back into second, but Dam's not done yet.
Not settled yet, as it looks like Dam wants it back. Amazing move from Coimbra, because as we were talking about the other races, he moved from not just third to second all the way up to first, but Dam counter moves right on back into that lead as they're not side by side going up to 9. John Allen, all he could do is just sit and watch back there.
Yeah, and now I don't know if I'd want to be on the outside going through 9, but Mike Dam leaves Coimbra a lot of ground here, and you can see Robert Hartley trying to push his teammate up back into the lead. As Coimbra, if he can get the car squared back up, might have position coming into the final corner, but he's not going to be carrying a lot of speed through that corner as he really compromises his exit. But right now, 2 by 2, does John Allen try to push Coimbra back up? Doesn't look like it. It looks like he's settling in back behind Hartley.
It's a 30-minute sprint, not a 17-minute sprint. It's right behind him. That looks like Adams into the wall there under braking. Yeah, I wonder if he caught a little bit of grass under braking going into 1.
I think either Adams caught a bit of grass, but it looks like Tom Rathke might have gotten into the back of him, Larry, under braking there as they hit, I guess, about the 250 mark. I think Rathke might have been a little bit later on the brakes.
We'll see if our guys cue something up in a minute, but I want to watch this bus stop here real quick. Is there 3 wide for the front, Coimbra on the inside, the 2 Orion cars on the middle and outside, but it's going to be Hartley getting the advantages. Coimbra really backed off, maybe too much, because Allen's going to go ahead and set up behind him and next to him, because these guys are not settled yet. And then, of course, you got Rathke back there, and Brennan Horan hasn't gone away yet in that whole front pack.
And, you know, and it might have been Horn now that I think about it. Well, we'll take a look at the replay here. Actually, why don't Dennis, why don't we jump to the replay now as things are starting to straighten out again as they come down into turn number 1. Oh, and it was not Rathke. It was Brendan Horan right back behind not Bramley's car, pardon me, Otis Adams' machine as they went down under braking into turn 1. So my apologies to Tom Rathke.
Yeah, so the graphic came up and said that it's the 60th Thorman is the hard investigation.
Okay.
We'll let the stewards do their thing, whether it was Horn, whether it was Thorman. They'll figure all that stuff out. We'll let them do their jobs while we just tell it like we see it. As Horn right now is John Allen going sideways, coming to 8. He's into Rathke.
Yeah, it looks like John Allen, as he got very loose coming through turn 8, has impact with Tom Rathke. He is going to drop back now. Seems to hold on to the position, but where is Tom Rathke? Rathke definitely getting the worst of it, and he now drops back into 10th position. And you can see quite a bit of damage there as he not only got John Allen from the left, he got the Armco from the right.
Yeah, that just looked unfortunate. As I know a lot of guys now with the way they've done this rescan at Watkins Glen, in the old days you wouldn't run wide coming off of 8. Well, now with the track more realistic, they've changed the limits now. You can go really wide off 8 and everyone seems to. Well, Allen might have gone too far, caught a bit of that grass, came across and caught Rathke. That's unfortunate for him. What it has done is it's moved up David Payton out of that transfer spot. Jose Gonzalez, your AM class leader now, is sitting just 1 spot out of the transfer spot. And there's the 64 of David Payton in that 7th spot. With just the 09 of Fike up in front of him. Brennan Horn, John Allen out there in front of them. A lot of movement now going on, a lot of contact early in this race.
Yes. And by the way, and Larry, by the way, Chris Thorman was assigned a drive-through penalty. He has just now served that, and he is back underway, I believe. But that now we now have joining Greg Mack in the pits. We've got John Casey and Jeff Cranston as well, and they've actually been there for quite some time. But
John Allen right now is survived that little sideways and. Just barely in the draft there, maybe not even smelling much there behind Coimbra is sitting in 3rd. But if those guys out in front, we've seen them fight already. If they continue to fight, they are going to let this pack of Allen Horn, Fike, and Peyton get back up there.
Get right back up to him, exactly. And Coimbra, as we're seeing now, as he pops to the inside, coming down the 8, and I think he realized as he popped that far to the inside that he just wasn't going to have the pace to stay with Hartley under braking going into 8. And
maybe he's just trying not to give any leaking of draft back to Allen behind him.
Yeah,
sometimes you want to really push up that car in front of you. One way to do it is just to get to the other side of the track, and if Allen stays left, you go right. You just don't give any of that draft back. You don't give any chance for that guy to catch him.
All right, so we are now 10 laps in, a little bit over 21 minutes in here in a 30-minute race. And it is Mike Dam, your leader. He was our pole sitter this evening. Robert Hartley running second, and Rui Coimbra. And you know, to see Larry only 3 cars in this lead pack now after having watched just like 2 laps ago, 5 of them go into the bus stop together.
Yeah.
You know, might be a little anticlimactic at this point, but you know, a great battle nonetheless here.
Yeah, and it is, but I still suspect John Allen's not completely out of this yet. With still 8 minutes to go, he might be able to make a move to have a shot, and he'll bring with him Brennan Orr, Jordy Fike, David Payton, that whole group. So it'll be interesting to see if he can. As we flash back here, that is Schwenke in the 16. He is all the way down in 13th overall.
And if we take a look at the AM category right now, as you can see on the timing pylon, Jose Gonzalez is currently your leader. What you can't see from that timing pylon is that he is currently running in he was running in 7th position. He is now running in 8th position, right back behind David Payton, who is currently 7th overall. But I believe the gap between them is just about 2.5 seconds. But Gonzalez, he's got Tom Rathke in the pro category right behind him, and then Edgar Sancinelli, as you can see there, almost 8 seconds back from Gonzalez in the lead.
Yeah, Fike and Peyton right now appear to be getting along well to try and hold Gonzalez a little bit further back, as we've actually got the full standings there on the timing tower to help you kind of see where that transfer spot lays down. But notice, I mentioned John Allen isn't going to be out of this yet. Take a look. He's cut this from what was about a 1.2 gap on this lap. He's now down about 0.8. So he can definitely sniff draft out in front of him, behind Rui Coimbra. I have a feeling by the time we get to the bus stop next time, we're going to have a 4-car pack out front.
All right, let's see here now as they come through the final corner to complete lap number 11. And indeed, John Allen, he is definitely making up ground here as they're on the front straight. We'll see if Coimbra moves back over to try and break the draft, but I think he's, at this point, Coimbra needs to keep the draft up with Robert Hartley. So it's kind of a damned if you do, damned if you don't move there.
At this point, if you're Coimbra with 6 minutes to go, about 3 laps-ish, depending on their pace, he's probably going to start making moves. You can't hold and think you're going to hold Allen. Allen's there. He's a part of it, and here goes Coimbra already. There he goes. As you can see, the investigation underway already then for Allen and Rathke. As look at the move.
Coimbra splitting the difference between them as we're now 3 wide. Damn, though, all the way to the inside, practically on the stripe. And they're all going to go into the bus stop together.
Allen.
And Allen now gets, well, I don't want to say he's getting around Mike Dam, but now it is Coimbra and Hartley side by side through the outer loop. Hartley's going to have the position going down into the chute and into turn number 6.
Side now for the left on 6. Inside's got the advantage.
And now remember that we saw a couple laps ago where Coimbra made a pass from the outside on Dam through here, but he's not quite far enough alongside, as he may still try to sneak down the inside going into the toe, but that also now has moved John Allen for the moment. Again, his incident is under review, but for the moment, he is now currently running in 3rd. Mike Dam, our pole sitter, in just the course of half a lap, drops from 1st down to 4th. And look at this as Hartley takes Coimbra all the way down to the stripe on driver's right.
Yeah, now Coimbra is the new guy to the Ricmotech Classic Sprint Series. I have a very strong feeling that all 4 of these guys have raced each other in public races before.
Yeah, exactly.
But unfortunately, as you can see there on the graphic, it is John Allen, the number 101, who's now been assessed a drive-through penalty. So we're not going to get the dramatic 4-way finish. Allen's likely going to have to serve that here pretty quickly, and probably rightly so for Tom Rathke's sake that something was assessed. John, there he goes to serve that penalty.
There we go. So John Allen heading into the pit. So for the moment, it is a 2-car fight with 4 minutes remaining here, and most likely, given the lap times that we are seeing, well, Larry, what do we say? Right around 14 laps. So we'll see as now it does appear as though Mike Dam now is in that position to draft up to our leaders. And the question is whether Brennan Horn in the D2D E-Racing machine, the number 45 car, he's might be using Mike Dam as a bit of a bridge there to get up to the lead pack. If he can just pick up another half a car length or so, he should be in good stead.
Yeah. Draft is heavily in play right now for Horan behind Dam. I think that could be an interesting move here as Brennan's on the move. Also, take note, the last car in your shot right there, that's Jose Gonzalez. He is in the transfer spot as the leader in the AM category. Could be on hold for the next race here in another lap and a half. We'll have to keep our eye on that as Rui continues to dice around in that front, leading Hartley now.
There we go. So as you said, to our new leader, Rui Coimbra, with now just 3 minutes remaining here in race number 1. And again, remember, for race number 2, we do invert the field. Top 7 will be flipped, and if you're in 8th, you are just out of the money. And right now we're watching this battle play out. And as you mentioned, Gonzalez, who is currently our leader in the AM category, he is running in 7th, back out of that front pack. So we might, but it looks like he's got a pretty good advantage on the rest of the field. Behind him is Tom Rathke, the next driver in line, almost 12 seconds in arrears. So as long as Gonzalez can keep that car on the pavement, he is, I don't want to say he's guaranteed to be on the pole for race number 2, but it's starting to look that way as we watch our leaders here.
Yep, we expect here possibly to see white flag this time by, as we should be just about the 28-minute mark here in a second. So one more lap to go, which means everyone's going to be on high alert. Everyone except for Gonzalez, he's probably content to just hold that 7th.
That's right. This
top pack, though, this is going to get exciting all the way from 1 through 11 here last time around.
All right, here we go. As you said, white flag in the air as we've got our newcomer to the series, Rui Coimbra. He is your leader. Robert Hartley running 2nd. Mike Dam running in 3rd. Our pole sitter this evening, Brennan Horn, he has caught up to that lead pack. And we look just a couple car lengths back. Jordy Fike and David Payton not that far behind, and we'll see they may be able to close up if Hartley goes too wide, which I assume he will be with that number 30 car coming down into the bus stop.
Mike Dam is going to get feisty here. We got it 3 wide.
And there's Horn. Does he make it 4? He'd have to go to the grass if he was going to. But going down into the bus stop, taking over the point, Mike Dam. He is your new leader.
Wow.
Coimbra running 2nd, and that was an authoritative move, Larry. And he picked up, as you saw, about 4 car lengths just on exit there. Great move.
I've always said, if you're going to be fighting a position on the last lap of Watkins Glen, you need to be on the inside going to that bus stop. You really do have a huge advantage. Somebody has to be a little bit more than a nose ahead on the outside to get you. Mike Dam just proved that. He was the inside, and not only did he get the great exit, he got a fantastic exit while the guys behind him are still fighting side by side. So it is still a dogfight there with Hartley and Coimbra, but Mike Dam now kind of breathing. I'm not going to say easy. He's still got about 4 corners to go, but he's breathing as Hartley now looks like he might have an opportunity to pounce.
There you go. And Hartley, he's going to hold station going through turn number 8. So time running out here as we have just 3 more corners remaining in race 1. Coimbra, for the moment, holds him off as they go through turn 9. But now, and you can see there as Coimbra maybe runs a little bit wide, loses a little bit of speed on exit, and Hartley shoots to the inside. He's got position going through turn 10. The question is, can he hold Coimbra out and hold him off enough as they go through the final corner? Coimbra noses ahead, and it's not that long a run, Larry, out of turn 11 onto the front straight. Hartley's going to try to come to the inside. And as Mike Dam takes the checkered flag, Coimbra is going to come home in 2nd in his initial running in the Classic Sprint Series. Robert Hartley will come home in 3rd. Brennan Horn makes his way up into 4th. Jordy Fike will finish 5th. David Payton will finish 6th, and Jose Gonzalez, our winner in the AM category, he is going to have the transfer spot. He's going to start on pole for race number 2. Edgar Sancinelli, he's battling it out there and comes across the line. He's going to finish second in the AM category, again leading the points, and second place in the points is Steve Daniel.
Yeah.
And where is Steve Daniel?
He was third.
There you go, Steve Daniel finishing in third. Oh, I'm looking at the. There we go. I was looking at the pylon there, and Steve Daniel disappeared into the ether, went into the phantom zone there for a moment. Steve Daniel, he's going to finish third in the AM category. Then we've got finishing fourth. Paulo Coimbra will finish in fourth, and Greg Brockway will come home in fifth.
Wow, that was a heck of a race, top to bottom there, and I think it's just going to set up what's going to be a fantastic second race. But keep in mind, some of those high finishers, like the high qualifiers, I should say, like Bramley and like Allen, with the penalties and things as it went, they are not going to be starting the second race very high. Are going to have to work through a very deep pack to try and come through. So
yeah,
I'm looking for a second race. That was great.
That is exactly how this is going to play out, Larry. So let's do this. Why don't we take a quick break, thank our sponsors, and when we come back, we'll get ready for race number 2 here from Watkins Glen International. And you've just witnessed round 3, with round 4 coming up of the Extreme Motorsports Ricmotech Classic Sprint Series, presented by Performa Texas Elite Graphics, and we'll be right back.
Ricmotech, high-performance sim racing equipment. Whether you're just looking to have fun, train for race day, or become a serious esports competitor, Ricmotech has you covered. Hundreds of name-brand parts. Support from experts that love sim racing. Trusted by the pros. There's only one place to go, Ricmotech.com. Ricmotech, high-performance sim racing equipment. There's only one place to go, Ricmotech.com.
Allow extreme scoring to do the work for you.
All right, and we are back here at Watkins Glen International, getting ready for round number 4 of the Extreme Motorsports Ricmotech Classic Sprint Series, presented by Performa Texas Elite Graphics. I'm Greg Ginsberg, along with Larry Lefty McLeod, and let's take a quick look here. Dennis, can we still throw up the finishing order from our previous race? There you go. So let's just do a quick recap of race number 1 tonight, round number 3. Mike Dam from Orion Racing taking the win, with Rui Coimbra finishing second, Robert Hartley third, Horn and Fike your top 5 in the pro category, with David Payton finishing 6th. But most importantly, your winner from the AM category, Jose Gonzalez, with his first outing here at the Classic Sprint Series. He finishes 7th. That means he is going to start race number 2, round 4, on pole. And Edgar Sancinelli, who currently leads the AM category championship, he's going to be starting all the way back in 9th. So he is definitely going to be starting this second race off on the back foot. Sancinelli finished 2nd in round 1. Steve Daniel finished 3rd. Paulo Coimbra finished in 4th. Greg Brockway finished in 5th. And I think also...
I was going to say, for Sancinelli, although he's going to be starting about 8 spots behind his rival there in the AM category, having collected second place points in the first round of tonight. And, if he can mix it up, but maybe end up there, he'll still be in a good position for the points because it does come in as that points leader. But it's a tight battle between he and Steve Daniel. And that's really the battle he's probably really concerned about is he and Steve. And they're going to start the second round here tonight in the same positions as the points and right there together. But the other one that's in that points mix with them, if I recall, was
Jeff Cranston
exactly.
he was 6 points off the lead after the first 2 rounds. Definitely did not have the race I think that he wanted.
And I think that's where I think that's where the key to the whole battle in the AM category is. You now have 2 out of the 3 rivals coming in, still battling for podiums tonight, while the other has got a huge uphill battle, and not only for himself, but he'll be battling probably with the likes of John Allen and a few of the others that had to serve penalties. So that middle of the pack is going to be an interesting race here in the second round.
Yeah, and I guess as we watch, I think the question is going to be whether or not Sancinelli can hitch his wagon to a pro category horse, and maybe get himself pulled up as maybe some of the pro category drivers find a way around our pole sitter for race number 2. Whether or not Sancinelli can kind of get dragged up to our winner from race 1.
Yeah, and I think that's always a good strategy, is now that there's this inversion going on, and so Dam, Hartley, Coimbra are all going to be back there in those 7, 6, 5 positions. Good opportunities to maybe try and hitch a wagon and see if you can pull yourself through, while the 2, 3, and 4 starters maybe have an opportunity to get around your rival and maybe bring it together before the night's over.
All right, so we are getting ready here, Larry. We're going to have the drivers. They've just completed their 5-minute warm-up for race number 2, and they are getting gridded up right now. So why don't we take a quick look at the starting grid for round number 4.
On the pole position for round 2 tonight, or I guess round 4 on the season, your AM category winner from the first race tonight, Jose Gonzalez on the Not a Team Racing outfit. He'll be on the pole position tonight in the AM category, but also for the overall. He'll be lined up alongside him on that front row, David Payton from D2D Racing. On row 2 for this race, Jordy Fike from Esports Racer, and he'll be alongside another D2D Racing driver, Brennan Horan. Row 3 is going to have a couple of the rivals who just finished a fantastic race. They're probably still catching their breath and maybe even drinking a Gatorade to recover. Rob Hartley on the inside, the Orion Racing, alongside Rui Coimbra in the Not a Team Racing entry on the outside. On row 4 was our race 1 winner, Mike Dam. It looks like he went from pole to the win, but there was a lot of action between. He'll have to do it again here in race 2 if he wants to win again, from Orion Racing. And alongside him, Tom Rathke from Granite State Racing. On row 5, your points leader coming in, second in the class in the first race, but he's got a lot of ground to make up. Edgar Sancinelli from Frito Sport Racing. He'll be lined up alongside his points rival, Steve Daniel from SKKJ Racing. On row 6 on the inside, it's another one of our Orion drivers, Travis Schwenke, lined up alongside Paolo Coimbra, the other Coimbra brother there from the Not a Team Racing on row 6. Row 7, Greg Brockway from Frito Sport Racing in the M category, lined up along another one of our pro category drivers, intermixed, Chris Thorman from D2DE Racing. On row 8, Mike Key out of the M category from Frito Sport Racing, lined up alongside one of his teammates, in fact, also an AM category driver, Mike Taylor. On row 9, on the inside, Russ Ruddock, an AM driver, Flying Tortoise Motorsports is his team. Alongside him will be Nick Barcino, NAP Motorsports. On row 10, it's an all-pro category driver, and this should be a fun one to watch as these guys move through. Timon Bradley on the inside, on the outside, Nate Nicholson. Those two guys got some work to do, but it'll be fun watching this. And they're going to have right behind them in row 11, on the inside, another pro category driver, Otis Adams Jr., another one of the Not a Team Racing drivers. On that row 11, lined up alongside an AM category driver, Robert Briss, RFC Racing. And on row 12, on the inside, a Frito Sport Racing driver from the AM category, Patrick Provenus, alongside one of the gentlemen who had a good battle going on till he had to serve a penalty. He'll be on the outside of row 12, Seamless Racing's John Allen. And then on row 13, on the inside, 046 Racing's John Casey, alongside, needs a good finish here, had a rough first round, Jeffrey Cranston of the Grandy Customs Racing in the M category. And then finally on row 14, by himself there, it could be Esports Racer Greg Mack definitely looking to recover from what was a very short race for him on the first round.
Yeah, a race that did not make it past turn number 2, or did not make it to turn number 2. But yeah, Larry, I think maybe the big outlier here is going to be all of those pro category drivers that had to serve penalties or had incidents in race number 1 that are going to be starting from the back of the pack, and they are drivers that at some point during race 1 we saw in the top 5. So they definitely have the pace. It's just going to be the question of whether or not they can find a way to pick their way through some of this slower traffic here. But it's very interesting to watch now as in the first race we had the top 12 or so drivers were all pro category, and then we had all the AM category drivers, and they were all grouped according to category based on time. And now we've got primarily a number of, with the exception of our pole sitter, a number of drivers in the pro category, up through 8th position, then a large pack of AM category drivers, and then like another 5 pro category drivers sitting right behind. All right, so we've got now the field making their way out of the boot through turn 10 now. So just one more corner as the pace car now separating itself out a little bit from the rest of the field as our pole sitter, Jose Gonzalez, and as his want, he can slow the field down just a little bit as they come through the final corner as we wait to hear that starting command from the starter stand here in iRacing. And there is a green flag, and racing is underway here from Watkins Glen, round 4 of the Ricmotech Classic Sprint Series. And as we can see here, we've got the inside lane of Gonzalez and Fike getting nose to tail. We've got Horan trying to push David Payton through, and Payton for the moment looks as though he may have the point here as we now have side by side starting the way up the S's. Our pole sitter Gonzalez side by side with Brendan Horan, and I'm trying not to say side by side 35 times in a row. Then we've got Jordy Fike now with Gonzalez, but a small little breakaway of 4 cars. But look at this, right behind those top 4 is Robert Hartley, the number 3 driver from Orion Racing, and Rui Coimbra. And a huge wreck as Russ Ruddock, I think, and Bramley go up and over.
Wow.
It's the 8 car has gone up and over. That's Bramley, and then again, I think the 95 of Russ Ruddock was involved in that as well.
We got another wreck coming out of the bus stop.
And John Allen is involved with that. Looks like Robert Briss.
Yep, Patrick
Provenus involved. As well as Michael Key, as you said there, all coming through the bus stop. So certainly not what we would have expected here as our drivers coming through the toe of the boot for the very first time. Let's try and reset the field here very quickly, Larry, as we have at the top of the field David Payton, your leader, Brendan Horan running in second. They've got a gap of about 3 car lengths now back to the 83 machine, our pole sitter from this race of Jose Gonzalez, then Fike and Hartley. Rui Coimbra currently running in 6th position overall, then Mike Dam, Tom Rathke, Travis Schwenke. And I'm looking at this, Larry, of all the drivers that had issues in race number 1, I think Travis Schwenke probably in the best position. He got that incident of his out of the way with on what, like lap 2 or lap 3, took his punishment and continued on, and he's in a good position here as we complete lap 1 of our second round this evening.
What a crazy first lap.
Yes.
You look at, I think you go back to the very start, I think Gonzalez, the pole sitter, might have been in the wrong gear because he got pulled right on the front straight before they even got to turn 1. Didn't really get a great jump. Now he's fighting in the middle of this group, currently in 3rd. And then, as we talked about, those pro drivers who are mired back in the pack, having to deal with all the traffic in front of them, suffered early demise. John Allen, of course, being one of them. Timon Bramley being the other. We expected these guys to maybe pick up 8-10 spots the first lap. They end up being out of this race on the first lap. Big names gone. Opportunities now, as we saw Steve Daniel, Sancinelli still battling. We knew that was going to happen. But out in the front, Peyton and Horan, the D2D boy, is just battling.
And we just saw Sancinelli try to make a move on actually, he'd already gotten around Daniel, but he's trying to make a move going down into the bus stop, and that has allowed Steve Daniel actually to get ahead of the number 57 machine. That is the battle right now for third in the AMP category, but potentially the battle for the lead in the championship in this very early round of the season, as both those drivers, the 96 of Daniel and then Edgar Sancinelli right back behind
That's
Coimbra.
Coimbra.
And that is Coimbra, the 20 machine. He was your second place car in the AM category.
That is actually Otis Adams.
Oh, that's 20. Otis.
Yeah, the teammate there. Wow, big damage on the front of that car. He can't even make the turn into 7, so he's going to park it there and call it to him.
Yep, and he's going to end up in the... All right, let's take a look, because I think we've got a lot of replays queued up here, Larry.
We do.
So we're gonna go to the side-by-side view, and there is the wreck coming out of the S's onto the back straight.
It looked like he was like a magnet just drawn in to Bramley there, causing that one. That's just one of those incidents where you can't turn away from it once you turn in. Unfortunately, both those guys, they are out of this race. Unfortunately, I think for Ruddick, actually, I think he was assessed a penalty. Not sure it's going to matter as he's...
Yeah, I don't think it's going to matter given how much time he spent on the Armco there. All right, now we're coming up to the replay at the bus stop, Larry, here on lap 1.
Allen tries to go to the outside, 3 wide there, almost made it, but there, I think it was contact on the inside. They bumped. I didn't see who that was. They bumped into maybe Preventus or somebody.
And almost got clipped at the end there. I think Robert. I think maybe Robert Brisk was coming through, or actually it might have been John Casey. Let's take a look here as we go back. And we're on board right now with Rui Coimbra in 5th. Back to live action here as they...
we got contact on the back straight.
There we go, as we have Gonzalez getting into the back of Brennan Horan coming out of the S's. And as they break down into the bus stop, Gonzalez takes back the lead. And I'm still trying to get a handle on this, as we've got David Payton and Jordy Fike now side by side. And sitting down in the inside there is Robert Hartley in the number 3 machine. But there's a lot of jockeying for position here. As
contact now with Coimbra, and now Rafke's going to take the brunt of the blow there, and Schwenke got into him.
Yeah, and there you go, Tom Rafke right at the apex of turn number 6. And looks like his night is now done. Yeah, horrible evening for him.
I'll tell you what, we've seen, if you ever watched any of these Global MX5 races in real life, you see this kind of stuff on like Daytona, right? Because you've got these long, up and down the banking, they can go 5 wide. We're seeing this here in the outer loop at the Glen.
Yeah,
this is insane.
Where we know that 4 wide is pushing it, but apparently 5 wide is beyond pushing it. And I think in looking at this, the one driver that I think really lost out in this whole that whole complex there was Rui Coimbra, who dropped from 3rd, I think, all the way back in the 7th spot. He had just a horrible exit from the bus stop and just got bum rushed going through the outer loop.
But compared to what else has gone on, he's survived.
It
He's
could have been
only
worse.
in 6. Game on, right?
Yeah, it could have been a heck of a lot worse for him. But I mean, I'm just absolutely amazed because Gonzalez, he gave that little bit of a tap to Brennan Horan coming out of the S's and coming onto the back straight there, and he was able to basically do the bump and run, and it was the first car into the bus stop. And you take a look now, and Jose Gonzalez, he's got about I'd say almost a 1.5 second advantage on the rest of the field.
Huge lead for tonight's race.
Yeah, as the whole conflagration just happened right behind him coming through the bus stop, that there just wasn't anywhere for anybody.
And it's not going to stop either, is we got the 2
go
GTD drivers trying to get up on the inside of Fike. Not going to happen.
Fike's going to hold him off, and you can see here now as we've got Hartley and Mike Dam getting bottled up on the inside coming through the bus stop.
Yeah, a couple of GTD drivers and a couple of our Orion drivers. And there's Coimbra right there mixing up with the other 3 of the Orion team there with Schwenke, who, by the way, was not assessed penalty for his last contact there with Rafke. They say that was a racing incident right through this corner, in fact. But we're going to take a look at the battle there, the incident between the 66, who I believe was Mike Taylor, and the 20 that we had seen of Otis Adams. And we'll see what the students have to say about that.
Yeah, Otis may not love us. All right, so...
I can.
I was hoping you would.
Of course.
Yes.
As, that looks like
Is it
the
really
number
an
2.
inside joke when everybody knows it?
Yeah, so let's take a look at the number 2 there of Greg Mack. And the story here is, remember, he started this race dead last. He has moved up 14 positions to 13th place through the first 8 minutes of this race, and that is astounding. Watch out for that crash, John Allen, tell him.
That's right. And he's made his way through. I mean, as we talked about, has made his way through a good portion of the AM category field. He has just ahead of him Edgar Sanchinelli and Steve Daniel, who are still battling it out. Of course, looks like Daniel has managed to maybe he didn't do it on his own, but he's inserted Chris Thorman between he and Edgar Sanchinelli, giving him a little bit of breathing room for the meantime.
Well, just take a look at the AM category. You know, we saw Gonzalez basically run away with it in the first round tonight, and then get the transfer spot, start the second race on pole. Gonzalez now is still on pole, but he's got some company not far back. Is the other Paulo Coimbra, he's in 9th, only about 3 seconds back because the pack is so deep. The battle is still waging there in the AM category. It's not like it was in the first round where it separated quickly. Because this pack is together, it's there's something to be said. As you can see right there, Daniel in that brown and light blue car, and right behind him is Sanchinelli in the yellow and white. So not over yet in the AM category, but out in front, the whole pack is just, these guys are making moves.
Yeah, I mean, the jockeying around. We saw Brennan Horn try to make a move on his old teammate from Team Esport Racer. And could not get it done there as Jordy Fike cut across his bow. Mike Dam now has managed to get around Horn in that battle. And I think, Larry, we have a new leader here. And for the moment, it is Jordy Fike in the 09 machine. He's gotten around the 83 of Gonzalez.
For the moment.
Yeah, I was going to say for the moment there. And Mike Dam now working his way around the outside of turn 7, and we'll see what he can do as now we've got Hartley trying to pick a horse. He's going to pick the 83 machine, but in doing so, I think he's allowed the 45 of Horn to cement that 4th position. But yeah, a lot of jockeying.
So, you know, you use that term jockeying as they're all moving around. Now I know where I've seen this racing before. It's Churchill Downs about 3 weeks ago. It's exactly what it was. As the horse that was running, whatever it was, last about the end of the first turn before they got to the final stretch, suddenly put on the afterburners and made a heck of a finish. I think we're seeing that right now as these drivers are just using that pack, ducking in and out. I think I saw somebody reach out with their stick and slap the other jockey as they went on by. This is getting pretty intense.
Yeah, just hit him with the crop. It'll be fun.
I didn't say hit the horse. He hit the jockey.
Yeah, that's right. Little elbow here, little elbow there, and obviously the elbows are out. If you missed it, we did flash it up on the screen. It looks like the incident between Otis Adams and I believe it was the 56 car, if I remember correctly, Larry.
66, Mike Taylor.
66, that's right, exactly. So no action.
We got contact
taken
out for
there.
the lead, and that was Jordy Fike. And it looks like Mike Dam, and that's going to collect everybody.
That's right. And so we have now, and we can see there as they're all doing the ring around the rosy, coming through the S's. We've got Paulo Coimbra was involved with that. Mike Dam, of course, was involved. Looks as though, let's see, I think was Thorman involved with that one as well?
Yes,
I think
so
Thorman
right now
was involved. Jordy Fike, who had been up in the lead, it was involved. I think Steve Daniel got caught up in it as well. And here's the surprise. Steve Daniel, who had been running, I believe at the time, 3rd in the AM category, he got caught up with it. Edgar Sanchinelli, who was right behind him, managed to scoot through. Edgar Sanchinelli, who's currently leading the points in the AM category, he is now running 2nd in AM, 7th overall.
Yeah, it's just a survival test tonight with the way things are going. And now it looks like more survival, as that looks like
Schwenke moving all the way down to the inside at the very last moment there, I think, to keep from getting into the back of his teammate Robert Hartley.
Wow.
Yeah, this is just Larry. I did not expect to see any of this tonight.
No, but I'll take it. This is incredible stuff. Hey, I think we've got the replay of the last incident. Let's take a look at that.
Gosh, all right, here we go.
And there you see on the outside, that is that should be. Yes, that should be Hartley. If I know it's Dam. I'm sorry,
It was Dam. Yeah.
And those two just misjudged where they were coming out of the S's. They caused the start of the pileup, and then you can see Steve Daniel on the side there, and a few of the others. Sentinelli and Mack, you can see them. They're the second grouping back there. Sentinelli currently running second in the M category. Greg Mack has moved up 19 positions in this race.
And you know, I think this is poetic justice after the way his first race ended up.
Wow.
That he has been able to make his way up through the field here. But I mean, that is the spot on track at Watkins Glen where I think the majority of your incidents happen. That, you know, people either they get the draft wrong or they think they have more room. They move drivers left when somebody's actually attempting a pass on the outside because they've carried a head of steam up through the S's. And, you know, a couple cars, you know, you bounce off the Armco there. And with the Armco just inches off the pavement, the only place for you to go is right back across another 20 cars.
Yeah. So taking a look at what we have now in the race, you got your overall race leader, Rui Coimbra, currently leading the way. His teammate on track, Jose Gonzalez, is leading the M category. Those two are nose to tail in those red with black trim cars. Right behind them, the teammates of, that is it, Robert Hartley, Travis Schwenke from Orion Racing. Right behind them, you guessed it, more teammates of David Payton and Brennan Horn. Horn in 5th, Payton in 6th, and then finally you get to Greg Mack, who's now 20 places up from the starting position.
Yeah, now, and I'm sure you saw that note, Larry, from Race Control. I mean, typically they're investigating incidents between 2 cars. Right now, they're investigating an incident involving 5 cars.
And to be honest, I'm surprised we didn't go. We've seen it before to a full course caution. We've seen them before. The stewards in this case probably deciding, let's just let them play on. But right now, as we've got out front, it looks like Hartley now making the move to try and get around Jose Gonzalez. He does. So now you've got the first not a team, then Orion, then another not a team, then another Orion, and then don't count out Horan and Payton, currently 4th, 5th in Pro, 5th and 6th on the track. These guys are still in this mix in the 6-car fight with 15 minutes to go. How are we only halfway through this race?
Yeah, exactly. So Jonathan Grabowski, he flashed up a little comment for us. Oh, and there you go, car number 93. Mike Dam getting responsibility for the incident. He's going to have a drive-through penalty assessed to him.
So you're saying about the graphic of the investigation and the 6 or 7 cars involved looked like something?
Yes. So Jonathan suggested that it looked like tonight's lotto numbers, which I think, you know, I don't know if it's because Race Control posted up the numbers of half the field there, or the fact that it was 5 or 6 different ping pong balls flopping, you know, bouncing around Watkins Glen. Take your choice. I think that's what we need. Is we just need a bucket of ping pong balls with the numbers of our entrance cars on the sides of them.
It's been an exciting one halfway through so far. As we are starting lap 8, but just watching these guys now, you have Jose Gonzalez now starting to fall back a little bit as the Orion drivers of Hartley and Schwenke have made their way on by. They're going to take their fight to Rui Coimbra up in front. Gonzalez now still leading M category by about 8 seconds over Sancinelli. Now has on track behind him the 2 D2DE Racing drivers, Brennan Horan, David Payton, currently 5th and 6th. And it looks like Horan wants a piece of that position in front of him.
All right, we're going to follow him up the hill here and see if he's going to use the draft here to get by, or maybe wait until they get onto the front straight. As you can see here, Gonzalez, he cheats a little bit to the inside, making giving Horan 2 thoughts about it.
He's thinking about it, but holding their gaps, and for Horan probably doing a lot more looking in his mirror than looking in front right now, as he's got the teammate of Payton right behind him. But Horan trying to get a good run here and make sure he sets up ultimately to run off of 1. Because at this stage, if you can get a bit of a draft up the S's, you can pop out, maybe catch a tail of the draft out in front there with Schwenke and Hartley. The problem is Schwenke and Hartley are a second ahead of these guys. You got to get a heck of a run to close that, because the draft
close that gap back up.
Yeah, draft kind of dies at about 1 second, maybe 1.2.
Yeah, I mean, we saw John Allen do it in race 1 before he got his penalty.
Yeah.
But
I think that where he made up most of his time, if you can get a free run through the bus stop with no one in front of you, it's faster than following someone through bus stop. So right now for Schwenke or for Jose Gonzalez, the best thing is to get that run. So for Schwenke, if he can somehow make the pass before the bus stop, get a free run through, that's his best chance to close the gap to the draft.
All right, well, let's see here as Gonzalez leads Brennan Horn through the S's. And take a look now here at the battle for the lead as Coimbra moves all the way to driver's right to defend, and jumping ahead now, taking over the lead. Robert Hartley from Orion Racing. Coimbra is going to hold on to Coimbra's gonna fight back a little bit here, and he gets a great run through the outer loop. Larry comes right underneath Hartley as he pushed Hartley out wide, and he's gonna have to get a little defensive though, coming through probably the best corner to be defensive, one of the slower corners leading down through turn 6 and heading down into the boot. And now you can see they are sticking all the way to the inside as they make the run down to the toe.
Yeah, and the cheering section behind them of Brennan Horn and Jose Gonzalez said, "Yeah, guys, keep fighting. Go ahead." They just
because now that gap is gone.
Because of all that.
Yeah, that gap that they had that they were trying to make up is now completely gone. As Hartley now makes the run down towards the heel of the boot, right beside Coimbra. He's got position going in, but once again, Coimbra a little bit later on the brakes here.
Coimbra's got pretty good racecraft here. He knows how to keep his nose ahead. He's probably already thinking about the last lap strategy. We know the last race did not work out in his favor. As Mike Dan was able to take that win on the last lap, I'm sure he learned that lesson. Now he's thinking, maybe don't be in the lead on the last lap, but he's got about 10 minutes to think about that strategy as we flash back here to Greg Mack, Edgar Santinelli, Greg Brockway, and I think that's
right behind him. That's Jeff Cranston, in
yes.
the Cranny Customs, the black and green machine there. And that right now, right behind Greg Mack, that is the battle for second in the AM category between Santinelli, Brockway, and Cranston.
And just for fun, I'll note that 5 seconds behind them is John Allen, closing at about 2 seconds a lap. So those four could have company soon. But this battle out in front, there it goes. Coimbra now on the inside, and then through the S's going up the hill are the Orion drivers, and it looks like Schwenke's going to give a little bit of a bump. Maybe not the best place for it to his teammate Hartley going through the S's.
And here we go as Coimbra is trying to keep the Orion guys pinched down to the inside, and we said here going in,
wants to split them.
Yeah, and so as Coimbra goes and moves all the way back over driver's left to carry as much speed as he can through there, it is Hartley and Schwenke now your two leaders. As Coimbra drops back to third, and he's got our pole sitter from tonight's race and our AM category leader, Jose Gonzalez, sitting back and forth.
Yeah, the teammates there in the Orion team of Hartley and Schwenke working very well together, knowing that getting a push down that back straight here is a huge advantage, at least for one of them. In this case, they both were able to hold Coimbra behind them. Coimbra, of course, has his own teammate, or sorry, not a teammate, there behind him.
Yes, not a teammate. Hashtag.
Hashtag not a teammate. But those guys could also work together. For Gonzalez, he's, I'm sure, happy to be in this position, running with the teammate up there, but also knowing that his gap is only growing to the M category field behind him. Trying to get the sweep of the M category here tonight.
Yeah, and and again, Larry, this really reminds me, and I'm surprised that he isn't here this evening, but this reminds me of that race that Josh Soto ran, and I guess it was season 19? It was I think 2 or 3 seasons ago at Mid-Ohio, where I believe he finished 7th overall, but we were all just absolutely flabbergasted that he ran and was really pushing some of the pro category drivers the entire time, and he really separated himself out from the rest of the M category field at that time. Now again, the next season he's running in pro, but very much the same thing here as we're watching Gonzalez really mixing it up. We had expected him to maybe lose a couple of positions here in race 2 as the top finishers in race number 1 work their way up, and he's lost 3 positions, but I think we all expected it maybe to be more than that.
Yeah, he's really holding his own up there and showing that he certainly has the racecraft. Maybe not the raw speed if they were by themselves, but in this traffic, he's been very good about being in the right place at the right time, being careful without being risky too much there. And you can see able to hold right here in this top 6. It looks like through the whole 30-minute race, at least in the first 23 so far.
All right, so Coimbra moves back into the lead around the 2 Orion teammates. And once again, and I mean, it's pretty clear, Larry, that Horn and Payton still having lots of trouble getting around the number 83 car here. They've been going at it for the last 6 laps or so and cannot seem to make any headway. Now let's take a look here as Edgar Sancinelli and Jeff Cranston have managed to get around the Team Esport Racer entry of Greg Mack.
Hey, look, it's 5 cars.
Yeah, exactly. Hey, where'd the 101 car come from? As John Allen is going to try to peek underneath Greg Brockway. He does get that done to move John Allen now up in 10th overall. And
Brockway was
7th
thinking, where did that 101 come from?
Yeah. Well, at least he realized it before the pass was made and not after the pass was made.
Yeah, Johnny gained 3 seconds on the previous lap. He had gone 2 seconds gain. He picked up about half a second on one. There you can see the gaps right there. Thank you, guys. You can see the graphic there, 3 seconds on the last time between John Allen to Brockway for the position that he just took. And Allen doesn't appear to be done yet, so Greg Mack now has his mirrors full of that seamless racing behind him. But he's, of course, got Cranston out in front of him and Edgar Sancinelli. So we know that Sancinelli, Cranston, and Brockway are all fighting in the AM category, so those guys want to continue the fight here and get some positions. But in between them, Greg Mack is playing hard.
There goes Greg as Mack moves just maybe a quarter of a car width over to driver's right. It might have been more to stay in the draft of Cranston there, but John Allen now drafts right up to the back of the number 2 as we jump back to the lead pack here, and it is the Not a Team guys, it is the Orion guys, 2x2, and then add the 2 D2D iRacing entrants, and coming out of the bus stop there, Rui Coimbra has opened up now about a 4-car length, or maybe closer to a 5-car length advantage. And you know, Larry, I'm looking back to that lap 1 mishap coming up through the S's, and we had talked about that huge lead that Gonzalez had built up at that point. That I think for most other classes it might have been something that was insurmountable, but obviously in MX5s with the effect of the draft here, not so much. As looks as though Schwenke gets a little bit loose post apex there at turn 7, but perhaps it affected Gonzalez a little bit more as he had to check up just a little bit as they head up the hill. And Hartley now has position going into turn number 8, and he's gonna manage to squeeze on by the number 83 machine as they make the run up the hill to turn 9.
Yeah, great out-braking maneuver there for Hartley to get on by in that little short straight. It is one of the few other passing zones besides the back straight into the bus stop that you can make passes here at Watkins Glen, and Hartley showing that it can be done, especially if you use pretty much the entire apex. Is that out in front? Looks like one of our laps cars trying to get out of the way. I want to say it's Russ Ruddock.
Yeah, that is the 95 of Russ Ruddock, indeed.
Yeah, trying not to be a part of the 6-car pack, so appreciate that. We should be 2 laps to go, we're going to say, as we start lap 13. And,
yeah, as we're just a bit under 4 minutes remaining, and at with laps in the 2:08 range once again. Exactly, we should be 2 laps to go here from Watkins Glen for round 4 of the Extreme Motorsports Ricmotech Classic Sprint Series.
These guys, we'll see if any of these guys took any notes after the first round, where we had a very similar sort of thing going that ended up being the move of moves. Was it up the inside, get the position gain before the bus stop? That kind of a move there for Rui Coimbra is exactly how Mike Dam finished the last lap of the first race. I don't know if this might be too early for Coimbra to do it with a lap and a half to go.
Well, the question is, with that much of a gap, whether or not they'll be able to draft back up. Now, they were, on the previous lap, they were able to get back up to him. But I mean, the speed that he carried through, and you saw there, Larry, as he was seemingly millimeters off the Armco drivers right there, whereas both Hartley and Schwenke looked as though they, and you said this, if you start from driver's left, you got to check up a little bit. It's a much more difficult left-hander through the bus stop there, the further to driver's left you start.
Absolutely. So we're really going to watch and see what does Schwenke and Hartley have for Coimbra. Can they close the gap? and be their precision offer one to be able to close the gap all the way down the back straight. In a good position here, and I have noticed also that Jose Gonzalez has been kind of pushed to the back here. I don't know if he's just saying, let these guys fight it out in front. He's got his significant lead built up already in the M category, not going to be taken out here in the last lap dash. But it does leave the D2D racing team with an opportunity. And then you've got this pack of Cranston, Greg Mack, John Allen.
And look at this, Larry, as Edgar Sancinelli now has fallen back behind Jeff Cranston, Greg Mack, and John Allen. So big changes there. I think in the whole scheme of things, as far as the point standings go, it probably will not hurt Sancinelli that much. But in the course of one lap, he has now lost second place in class. And we should have the white flag in the air. Indeed, we do.
Not over yet, as Mack now on the inside tries to make the move. We'll get back to that in a minute, because that could have a lot to do with how that AM category plays out. This is, of course, Coimbra took the lead on the prior lap in the bus stop. Was it too early now? Because here comes Hartley, here comes Schwenke, going to try and do this move on the outside. Coimbra's going to try and hold the inside. Are they going to be too wide through?
Ooh.
Schwenke is a nose ahead.
And Schwenke gets a little tap at the last moment there.
But it's not over.
From his teammate, and Coimbra and Schwenke side by side coming out of the bus stop. Coimbra got kind of loose on entry there, Larry, and that might be the difference. As a matter of fact, I thought that perhaps Schwenke got that last second tap by Hartley and might have given him an extra mile or two an hour on entry.
Well, you watch what's happening here. Coimbra's trying to push Schwenke to the inside on 6 to try and get a better line going towards 7 right here. Wasn't able to hold, though, on the outside for Coimbra. He had to fall back in line. All that Jocelyn has done is given Hartley now the opportunity to go up the inside. We just saw Hartley do this a lap or two ago and outbreak. At that time, it was Jose Gonzalez. See if he's going to have an opportunity now to do the same thing to Coimbra with 3 turns to go.
And there he is. He's in side by side, and
they
go through
contact.
and they touch. There is contact between Coimbra and Robert Hartley, as Coimbra now is going to drop all the way back in the 5th position. That is going to move Brendan Horan now up in the 2nd. David Payton in the 3rd.
Hits the wall.
And now we're going to have to see if the 45 machine can hold off the rest of the field there. But for the moment, Travis Schwenke with 1 corner remaining has it free and clear as he now rounds turn 11. He is going to come home. He is your winner tonight. Orion Racing Travis Schwenke takes home the win in round number 4. And now the drag race to the finish line. Brendan Horn, he's going to finish 2nd in the D2D E-Racing number 45 machine. Rui Coimbra with a heck of a run out of the final corner. He works his way from 5th back up into 3rd in the span of 2 corners. David Payton will finish just off the podium in 4th. Jose Gonzalez, our AM category winner, comes home 5th overall. Robert Hartley drops all the way back down into 6th position. Greg Mack will come home in 7th. And Edgar Sancinelli, he will finish 2nd in the AM category. Mike Taylor, who we have not spoken a word of all evening long, Larry, Mike Taylor will come home on the last step of the AM category podium. He finishes 3rd in class, finishes 9th overall, made up 7 positions over the course of the race. Nick Parsono finishes just back behind him, just off the podium in 4th. Made up 8 positions tonight, 10th overall. Greg Brockway, Jeff Cranston, they're, I believe, rounding out the top 6 in the AM category.
Something happened on that last lap, because Cranston, if you recall, was ahead of Sancinelli for the 2nd spot in AM, and John Allen was in that mix with Greg Mack. Greg Mack still stayed up there. Sancinelli stayed up there, but something happened to Allen and Cranston to move them down.
Drop them down, exactly.
And then we're going to get a post-race review of the incident with Hartley and Coimbra. And we'll see if that turns anything here with any post-race penalties. But that, to me, looked like good, hard racing, but we'll let the stewards make that call.
All right. All right, before we go to break, let's take a look, Larry. We've got that replay of John Allen and Cranston here at the final corner.
Spot you talk about.
Oh, and
into the S's.
Yep, there you go. You know, you could basically take that replay and play it any time during the race. Yeah. I mean, you would expect to see that over and over and over again. And so here we go as we take a look at the way the race concluded there with Schwenke, Horan, and Peyton, there we go, in Coimbra. And actually, this is the cool down lap. So let's do this, Larry. Let's take a quick break. We're going to come back and hopefully interview some of our podium finishers here tonight from Watkins Glen, where you've just seen rounds 3 and 4 of the Extreme Motorsports Ricmotech Classic Sprint Series presented by Performance Texas Elite Graphics, and we'll be right back.
Allow Extreme Scoring to do the work for you.
Ricmotech high-performance sim racing equipment. Whether you're just looking to have fun, train for race day, or become a serious esports competitor, Ricmotech has you covered. Hundreds of name brand parts. Support from experts that love sim racing. Trusted by the pros. There's only one place to go, Ricmotech.com.
All right, and we are back here at Watkins Glen, where we've just seen rounds 3 and 4 of the Extreme Motorsports Ricmotech Classic Sprint Series presented by Performance Texas Elite Graphics. I'm Greg Ginsburg, along with Larry Lefty McLeod. And Larry, we were just talking during the break that, apparently, we had nothing major happen in the first race this evening. Had a couple drive-through penalties assigned, and then the dam broke. Maybe that was the wrong choice of words there, or the wrong euphemism, as we had somebody in the chat mention that one of our drivers got a drive-through penalty and had no wheels left on his car to take it. Thank you, Caleb. It was an exciting round number 4, without a doubt.
It totally was, and it was a test of survival, and some drivers were able to, and other ones were not. And I think that's certainly made for an exciting show, and I hope everyone enjoyed it. Don't forget to hit the like buttons everywhere that you see one, because you definitely want to make sure you watch and enjoy all of these events here on
Apex,
I'll tell you what, as well as Extreme Racing.
That's right. So tell you what, Larry, we've got our top 2 finishers here from race number 2 sitting in the green room. Let's talk to Brennan Horn, new this year with Team D2D iRacing, finishing 2nd tonight at Watkins Glen.
All right, Brennan, that was one heck of a race. You had a pretty good view from about the 5th, 6th spot there for most of it, but what happened in the last lap? You end up in 2nd. Talk me through it.
I don't even know what happened on the last lap. It's all such a blur to me right now. I know that I was talking to David, and I kept saying, whenever they would go 3 wide in front of me into the bus stop, I would just say, okay, I'm backing off right now, because I know that one of them is going to check up really hard, and if I don't check up myself, I'm going to run into the back of them. And it's something like that happened on the final lap, I think. I just caught up. I think on the penultimate lap, I did the same thing that I did in the final lap, where I checked up a little bit going into the bus stop, and then coming out of it, I had such a good run that I was able to overtake somebody around the outside of that right-hander after the inner loop. And, after that, I was just holding on for dear life, and finally, came away with a 2nd place here.
Yeah, absolutely. A couple of good races here for you tonight. But having your teammate there with you, it sounds like you guys were kind of on comms, kind of strategizing. Is that how big a help is that when you're in this sort of a 6-pack fight at the end of the race like this?
Oh, it was a huge help, especially with D2D racing. Everyone here is just such, just really high driver skills, so I could trust my teammates very well. And with David pushing, and I was pushing David a couple times the last race, and yeah, we just worked together really good. And yeah, we were just collaborating on every lap what to do, and yeah, it worked out good.
Yeah, absolutely. And for you, a podium finish here is going to hopefully get you back up into the point standings here. But well, we're all just sort of catching our breath from this one, and I'm sure I can't
Me too.
imagine can't imagine the heart rate right about now.
Yeah.
Anybody you want to give a shout out to for the podium finish tonight?
Big shout out to D2D Racing. They took me on for this season, and I hope I'm making them proud. I hope that they are happy with my performance, and just big thanks to all of them: David, Chris, Bobby. Big thanks to Skull Sim Gear, Proformer Elite Texas Graphics, BCR Gaming, and BCR Designs. Yeah, I've just had a blast these first few rounds with them, and couldn't do it without them. You guys for the broadcast, Extreme for putting on this league, Ricmotech, of course, for being the title sponsor of this league. Big thanks to them, and big thanks to my family who keeps supporting me doing this.
Awesome. And yeah, so you can go off and celebrate with the teammates. Great race tonight. Second place, Brennan Horn in round 2, and actually for 4th place in round 1. So a couple of good finishes for you. Great way to get a couple of points in here mid-season. So congrats, Brennan.
Thanks a lot, guys.
All right, there you go. Brendan Horn from D2D Racing. So, Larry, let's do this. Let's bring in Travis Schwenke, who took the win in race number 2, but we've got Jose Gonzalez, who was our double winner in the AM category tonight. I also want to speak with him. So let's bring in Travis, driver of the number 16 Orion Racing Mazda MX-5.
Travis, that was 2 of the craziest races that I have seen in quite a while, and back-to-back this. Rough race in round 1 for you tonight, but huge bounce back. You moved up 10 spots and came away with the victory. Walk me through, if you can remember that blur that just went by you.
Yeah, first I apologize, but I'll apologize on air too to Tenmo. I thought he'd be on power tracking out a little bit, so I was definitely on the loud pedal and kind of pushed him around. So my fault definitely on that first one. That race, yeah, it started back there, and I could see Mike. I got the start, and I remember there was a 3 wide situation right away. Got through that okay, and then kind of was waiting to see kind of what would happen, and I saw Mike and Rob going forward a little bit, so I tried to pick my points to move up as well. Then we had the big wreck there, and somehow we were just watching the replay, and we think that team damage must have been off in the sim, because Mike absolutely doored Rob with the back of his car, and then the front of his car hit me, and when we watched it live, during the race, he actually went over us.
Yeah.
So it's definitely a difference in the way the net code's presented there. So I just kind of ducked and somehow went underneath it all, and then it was kind of a great battle there between, I guess, 4 or 5 of us. Had to make a pretty aggressive move. Brendan, I didn't think he was going to try to get that slot. I had pretty good closing speed, and I remember him when he came over, and we were really close to braking zone, and I was pretty committed to where I was going to go on the brakes. So I had to swing over, and of course the MX-5 does a nice little roll slide there for me, and but still got the pass done, and then it was just a game on, I guess, for those last six laps.
Yeah, incredible stuff. And you and Rob were working pretty well together. Are you guys on comms and kind of working out strategies, maybe a little bump drafting on the straights?
Yeah, definitely. And even laughing, right? So I gave Rob the good bump to get by, and then he overshot the exit a bus stop, and it's just, I mean, he just kind of laughed. I mean, what do you do, right? He went through it fine, and it's like the place you don't expect to have a problem, but he took too much bounce on the curb, I guess, and it just kind of shot him wide. So yeah, definitely trying to work it out and play a little bit of a team game, but we're still both racing for ourselves in this series. So.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun to watch. You guys were up there with teammates. You had 2 other teams all fighting for those top 6. But to come out on top, it's got to be something special in a pack like this, on a night like this.
Yeah, and hats off to the new guys. They put on a good show tonight, and it's a good, respectful driving by him too. I mean, we were racing really close. As I didn't know what to expect with Timo. I obviously he has the lap times and speed to support it. So. I raced him as close as I would anyone else, and for the most part, it all worked out. So,
absolutely. Anybody want to give a big thanks to tonight for the victory?
Definitely give a thanks to my teammates, and then Ricmotech for putting this on, and Extreme, for doing all the organization of it, and give Apex a shout for these great broadcasts that we get to see.
I appreciate that, and congrats again on the victory. Try and maybe go watch another replay of this one. It's probably good to put on the replay save list for.
Yeah, might have to. Thank you.
Yeah, this was a fun one. So congrats again, Travis.
Thanks.
All right, there you go. Travis Schwenke, driver the number 16 Orion Racing Machine. And Larry, if you can point out to me where that team damage setting is in iRacing, not that I have a teammate, but I could probably use it. All right, so let's do this. Let's wrap things up tonight by bringing in Jose Gonzalez, one of those new guys that Travis just talked about, driver of the number 83. Hashtag not a team Mazda MX-5, our double winner tonight in the AM category.
All right, we've got Jose with us, and Jose, for having not a team as your team sponsor there, you and your other teammates put on a pretty good show tonight. You able to go back to back and take wins in the M category of both races, including starting race 2 on the pole. Walk me through your night and your first week here with Ricmotech series.
Yeah, man, that was pretty exciting. I don't know what I was walking into, and guess it worked out, man. I love this track. We practiced with the guys this weekend, and it was great, man. I was not expecting this, that's for sure.
Yeah, as the second race kind of develops, and for a little bit there, you're holding on to that lead for a while, and the pack sort of mixed up, and you ended up with 6 of you there. Are you at that point? Your gap to the AM race is pretty significant, but do you even think about that? Or are you just thinking about maybe getting the overall and fighting with these guys that are around you in the pro category?
I'll be real honest with you. I was just trying to keep up with them. These guys are really, really fast. I've done a couple races with them before, and I don't even know how I kept up with them for that long. Harley's unbelievably fast, so I was just happy with the result. I was up there with them, being able to fight with them.
You showed some tremendous speed tonight in both of these races, and really a pretty good racecraft in a night where there was a lot of incidents and damage. Your car looked like it got out of there. Looked like damage free, which tonight I think means quite a bit and shows in the results. You said you've raced against some of these guys before in public races or other series. You mentioned Hartley. Is there a few others that you've managed to go wheel to wheel with?
Yeah, some of them are. We do a league on Thursdays.
Okay.
Tom Rath, a couple of these guys are incredibly fast. I mean, obviously they're not a team guys with with us. Ruiz is crazy fast too.
Yeah, absolutely. And you've got pretty good teams around you that are all pretty quick. But tonight, able to take victory in the AM category in both of the 2 rounds tonight and be right there in the top 6 at the end of the last race. Impressive opening round there for you, Jose. Anybody you want to give thanks or a shout out to tonight?
Yeah, definitely my guys from Not a Team. Got all of them. My wife letting me do this every Monday and Thursday. And you guys for the broadcast, man. I can't wait to watch it.
Yeah, it'll be a fun one to watch for sure, and you're going to be pretty much prominently featured, so the family can sit around and take a look at that and cheer you on as you get your multiple victories. So it's going to be pretty exciting. We're just coming to the midway point of the season, and you're getting right into the mix of it with a couple of wins. So looking forward to the rest of the season with you, Jose.
Same here, man. Thank you.
Thanks.
All right, there you go. Not a team driver of the number 83 car. Jose Gonzalez taking the win tonight, both in round number 3 and round number 4 here from Watkins Glen International. So, Larry, why don't we start to wrap things up here from the Glen? We're going to go over our upcoming schedule here and what we have coming up, both in the Classic Sprint Series as well as the other 2 Extreme Motorsports Ricmotech Series. Next up, and this is going to be next Monday night, June 13th. We've got the Sports Car Series. Those are our TCR and GT4 cars. They are going to be heading to Barber Motorsports Park for a 60-minute run to the checkered flag. That is round number 3. And if you wish to join us behind the wheel at Barber and for the rest of the Sports Car Series, if you head on over to extrememotorsports99.com /road-series. You too can get behind the wheel, and there is a great prize that we are giving away as part of that series, and we'll talk about that a little bit more next Monday night. But if you go to extrememotorsports99.com /road-series, you can read about it even before then. All right, next up after that, is going to be June 20th. So that's 2 weeks from tonight. The Classic Sprint Series heads to Phillip Island for a 60-minute race. And so, I think it's been a while since we've been down to Australia with the Classic Sprint Series. I think the last time we were at Bathurst, but we're going to be heading to Phillip Island, which is somewhat new on the iRacing platform for a 60-minute race. And then finally, round number 1 of the Ricmotech World Challenge, our GT3 and LMP2 drivers. We return August 22nd, so you got some time to think about it and maybe join the series as well. We'll as soon as we know the upcoming schedule and where we're going to be, we will definitely let you know, but keep that date, August 22nd, in mind. All right, so for Dennis Branch and for Jonathan Grabowski behind the scenes, and for my great partner Larry Lefty McLeod, I'm Greg Ginsburg, and we will see you next Monday night, 8 p.m. Eastern Time. Everybody have a wonderful week.
Ricmotech, high-performance sim racing equipment. There's only one place to go, ricmotech.com.